Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today's tag video is an original tag and it's rock on metal songs book tag. So I've chosen rock and metal songs that I enjoy and I put a question that is connected in some way or another to the song. Now, these took quite a few to figure out, so I hope on my end, I had to really dig into my Goodreads account to answer some of these questions. Oops. But hopefully you all enjoy the tag and then do it yourself. So the first question is Bodies by Drowning Pool. What book has the highest body count that you've read? And I'm going to say The Two Towers. How many people and elves and dwarves and all that were killed in the Two Towers? A lot. Like that, maybe like double digits? I think it's pretty high. I can't remember the number, but I know that it's really high in the Two Towers, just picturing what happened in the book and the movie. Yeah. That's the number one. Number two, Peace Sells by Megadeth. What's your favorite book that wraps up in a non-lasting peace? And that would be The Last Tutor. That focuses on Jane Grey. Yeah, that didn't work out very well for her. And I wouldn't even say there was a peace happening, but it was a weird time, because she was fighting for the throne and like at first she thought she was okay, but she wasn't. She was not okay. And then she was killed and the rightful heir to the throne replaced her. I think she was only queen for 18 days, 17. It was not that long. I don't even think it was a month. And that's one of the sadder parts in history. I don't know, and well, we don't know if she even wanted to be queen, but they do have that pull of you need to do it, it's your God-given right, blah blah blah. So I just wonder like what she was thinking, what other people were thinking that were on her side. Yeah, it was not good. It didn't end well for Jane Grey, and it's just, that's one of the sadder parts that I've learned about that time period and just the Tudors in general. Number three, The Kids Aren't All Right, They're Not, by The Offspring. The most moving book you've read as a child or teenager that got you through hard times. And I'm gonna go with the Gemma Doyle trilogy by Liv Bray. It was perfection when I was a teenager, and I'm not going to read back at all. I know some people will read books that they've read as a child or teenager back. I'm not doing it because in my mind that book is perfect and it needs to stay perfect. And I remember, I don't know if I was 14 or 15, but there were a few scenes in the first book where it terrified me, but I was still reading, and it didn't help that it was pouring rain and the wind was shaking the windows. Like, it was just a perfect moment, and I still remember that. And that is something that, even though I was scared, I was enjoying myself so much that the stress of everything that was happening at that point just faded away, and I was in the book. I was part of the book. Nothing else mattered. And I think that's a big testament to Libba's writing and her characters and just overall storytelling. Number four, Runaway Train by Soul Asylum. Your favorite or least favorite book that deals with running away or leaving behind a bad situation. I'm gonna go with The Visionist. I actually gave that 3 stars on Goodreads. However, I think what needed to be done, Polly's case, the main character, was to run away. and she needed a safe haven for a bit of time, and that's why she joined the Shaker community. Gave it it's actually 3.5 out of 5 stars because it was slow, and I was not a fan of Simon's point of view, so there were 3 points of views. It was Polly, the main character, Charity, who's a Shaker, and Simon, who deals with Polly's family and trying to figure out what actually happened to their farm because her father is killed in the fire and the house basically burns to a crisp. So like a fire inspector? I don't know. I think it would be a fire inspector, right? But like it's he was contracted to figure it out. I just don't he meandered so much. It was important, I get it, but oof, yeah, I was way more interested in Polly and Charity, especially Polly, because she has had like the worst life and absolutely needed to run away. Everywhere by Fleetwood Mac. What's the most whimsical book you have ever read? And I'm gonna go with Howl's Moving Castle. I still think about that book and I'm like, that is so magical, so whimsical. I read it at least 10 years ago and going through a difficult time with school and money stuff, and I just needed an escape. I needed something happy, uplifting, funny, whimsical. And that was Howl's Moving Castle. And I know a lot of people reread that book over and over again. I'm scared to do that because like with the Gemma Doyle trilogy, I have Howl's Moving Castle at like the highest pedestal ever, and I'm not going to touch it because it's just it's nostalgic. I love it. I'll watch the movie over and over again, and like it's not the same, but it's like I think it's good enough. Number 6, Thunderstruck by ACDC, a book that left you struck speechless in a good or bad way, and I'm gonna go with Dead Inside. That's something recent. It was definitely a Halloween book. And I legit thought that it wouldn't be bad. Like, people were, you know, acting up on Goodreads as they often do, right? And so then I picked it up. I bought it, picked it up, started reading, and I'm like, okay, I know, I get it now. There were some very uncomfortable situations. There were some times where I read a paragraph and I put down that book and I'm like, what the hell just happened? I need help. I need help, SOS. What did I read? I know a couple of horror fans that just read horror books or psychological thrillers or anything like that, and so they were warning you, but they rated it like 4 or 5 stars. So I was like, okay, I know if they say pay attention to the content warnings that other people are putting down, then you know it's messed up. So it wasn't a surprise, but I was just struck at how like I don't even know the word about how messed up it is. Yes. And like that Chandler Morrison took it that far, but then again, that's what he does as a writer. That's what you do in horror. So but I finished reading and I just sat there for a while. So yeah, I was struck. It wasn't good or bad. It was, I guess it was in the middle. Oh, I don't recommend it to 99% of people. And I thought I was going to do a booktube review. I don't want to get kicked off YouTube, so I just let that go. But now I just mention it, and yeah, I don't get into it because, yeah, fine. Number 7 is Living Dead Girl by Rob Zombie. What is your favorite book about the undead? And I chose Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. because I don't think I've read that many books, my bad, that had undead beings in it. I know a lot of people count vampires, but then there are people that don't count them because you're thinking undead zombies versus undead vampires. I guess that's like a trend or something, I don't know. But yeah, when I think of undead, I think zombies and vampires, but I haven't read much vampire or zombie stuff. And then I was thinking, oh wait, Anne Rice's books, but then I can't say that it's a favorite. Because I gave the Vampire Lestat 3 out of 5 stars. So yeah, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, I rated that 5 stars. It was hilarious. It was funny. I think it was original as well. Definitely pick it up if you want a mashup of zombies and Pride and Prejudice. Number 8, Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. What's your favorite or least favorite book with multiple points of view? Now, I'm just gonna go with Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo because I hate I hate multiple points of views. I can take 2. And that's really my limit. 3 or more, I can't. You're going to have a star knocked off. Maybe 2. If you have like 6 point of views, oh my gosh. Six of Crows, it was interesting enough that it was 3.5, but I bumped it up because there were some there were some backstories that were really interesting, and I was interested in the money heist, right? But then for Crooked Kingdom, I gave that 3 stars because too much. Again, this is like an indifferent answer, not like favorite or least favorite, but I don't really pick up books with a lot of points of view because I know I'm not gonna like it. But I did give Six of Crows a chance, and the first book was better than the second. Number 9, Possum Kingdom by the Toadies. What's your favorite book set in Texas or around a pond? Okay, the backstory to that is I looked up the meaning of that song because I was like, what? It's about a pond in Texas. Yeah, we're gonna go with it, okay? And my answer to number 9 is The Witch of Blackbird Pond. I remember reading that when I was a preteen, 11, maybe 12, and there was just a trend of witchy Puritan books during that time period, like early 2000s, that really inspired me. And actually my book, The Two Foxes, because I read so many of the witchy Puritan books when I was younger, actually kind of inspired The Two Foxes. Sarah doesn't count herself as a witch, but she can see into the future, and she's almost killed twice because family and the town, Puritan town, thinks that she's a witch, but then she runs away and survives. And I think that is a fascinating idea because I don't know if we have any proof. Maybe we have anecdotal evidence, like, oh, my great whatever greats grandmother was tried as a witch and she ran away. But I don't know if we have like handwritten letters or documents or anything like that of women doing that, or men. And I think that is an interesting story just to explore, because surely there were women and even men that ran away because they did not fit in and they were going to be tried as a witch. And it's a life and death situation. And if you know for a fact that you're going to be tried as a witch and hanged, yeah, run away. Like, I would run away. I would chance it in the forest or wherever. You're not hanging me. I'm not a freaking witch. Like, that's my thought, okay? I think it's a fascinating idea, and I ate that stuff up. especially this book in particular. I think I read it 3 times. Lastly, number 10, Hey Man, Nice Shot by Filter, a book, fiction or nonfiction, that handled suicide appropriately, meaning they didn't romanticize it. And I'm gonna go with The Hand of Isis, and that is about Cleopatra. And in that book by Joe Graham, there are a lot of people that romanticize Mark Antony and Cleopatra as like a love story, like well, I mean, Shakespeare kind of did that, but actually Shakespeare did it better. There are some more modern takes, and even some older takes, that called her a whore and deserved it. And then others were like, oh, she can't control her emotions, and so she killed herself, and like she made her handmaidens kill themselves as well because blah blah blah. Like, okay. The thing about Cleopatra killing herself was that Augustus wanted to take her to Rome and parade her around, which happened to her 3 children. And you know, they were in the past, Caesar, well, not just Caesar, there were many emperors or, you know, leaders that if they won, they would parade you through Rome, and it's absolutely humiliating. And then, you know, you're in jail or prison, whatever, for years, and you deteriorate. And they might have not tortured Cleopatra because she's a woman. I always mess up his name. It's the Gaul Vercingetorix. I hate that name because I know all about him, but I can't pronounce it. He was the Gaulish chieftain who almost won against Caesar, and he was in prison for a long time until he died, and everyone knows about it. We know what happened because they wrote it down, and Cleopatra knew about it because she was a very smart woman. And I think it's a difficult situation. She killed herself with the handmaidens went with her after Antony died, and she has high hopes that her children will not be killed outright. And Cleopatra Selene was the only survivor. We don't know what happened to Helios and Ptolemy, but it's suspected they died of, you know, some sort of sickness. We don't know 100% though. But I mean, that was years after, and Cleopatra Selene does survive, and she rules, what was it, modern day Algeria? Was it that one? So I haven't done research on Cleopatra Selene for 6 years because I did a whole thing with it, her in my Latin class. But you dump information, okay? Like, I've dumped quite a bit of information from college, which is good and bad at the same time. But anyway, Cleopatra Selene was the successful Ptolemy, and I think she was the last Ptolemy. Child doesn't make it very far, and though there are some people that say, oh yeah, I'm the very distant Ptolemy of Cleopatra, and I'm like, okay. It's a sad moment because I think I could see her not wanting to kill her children, but then the thought probably popped up, should I poison my children as well as myself and my handmaidens? But ultimately, she believed that Augustus wouldn't be that horrible. And she was right if it's true that Ptolemy and Helios died of like a sickness, but it's not true for her eldest, that was the child of Caesar. He ran away, but he didn't get that far. I don't think she knew about that. So that is like, it's a very difficult situation. It's nuanced. It is not black and white. And we don't have a lot to go on anyway about her decision. But she did what she did. And in the hand of Isis, it's not glamorized or romanticized. It's an extremely difficult decision. It's heartbreaking when you read it. But with everything that I, just explained, that was the choice, or dying a slow, painful death in Augustus's prisons, and and before that would be parading around in like shackles and through Rome. She couldn't go anywhere. She tried, she couldn't go anywhere but Egypt. So running away wasn't an option anymore. So that was really something that was mentioned. She chose death, and then her handmaidens chose to go with her because they don't have a future, as they believed. Without her, they would probably be assaulted, tortured, killed a horrible way. Wasn't very nice for women back then. So, I mean, it wasn't great for men either, but I don't think they would have been like a sex slave. I don't think so. Then again, it's Rome, so yeah. Anyway, moving on from that depressing last question. Sorry about that. I didn't want to stick it in the middle because it's depressing, but, number 11 is, who are you going to tag? And I'm going to tag Jonathan, Raph, Bald Booktuber, and Annalisa. I'm going to mention them. I'm going to @ you down below. Hopefully I do it correctly. I'm sure I'm going to do it correctly, and then you're going to get a notification. And anyone else who wants to do this original tag, please do so. Have a great time doing it. I look forward to watching the videos. Thank you for watching, and if you do the tag, thank you for doing the tag. Have a great rest of your day. Listen to some music, read some books, have a fantastic time. Bye!